Hello everyone, I am Manas Srivastava and you are watching UPSC Essentials of the Indian Express. And it's time for Issue at a Glance. Today's issue is Panchamrit and what is India's progress in strengthening its climate commitments. First of all, let us know what we are going to learn from this video. Why is this topic in news? Second, what are the three main targets of India's original NDCs? Third, which targets have been converted into official targets? Fourth, which two targets have not been converted into official targets? And last, what has been India's progress so far in achieving its targets? Let us now know why is this issue of Panchamrit in news. At the UN Climate Change Conference in Glasgow, that is COP26 last year, PM Narendra Modi promised to strengthen India's climate commitments. He made 5 promises and called it the Panchamrit. 9 months after PM Modi made those promises at Glasgow, the government has now converted 2 of those into official targets, which would now be a part of India's international climate commitments for 2030. India's NDC or Nationally Determined Commitments have been updated with these 2 promises, both of which are enhancement of existing targets and would be submitted to the UN climate body. So NDCs or Nationally Determined Commitments embody efforts of each country to reduce national emissions and adapt to the impact of climate change. The 2015 Paris Agreement requires every country to set self-determined climate targets which have to be progressively updated with more ambitious goals every few years. This is the fact you should remember. India's first NDC was submitted in 2015, just before the Paris Agreement was finalized. Now the next question is, what are the 3 main targets of India's original NDC? India's original NDC contained 3 main targets for 2030. Firstly, a 33 to 35% reduction in emission intensity or emission per unit of GDP from 2005 levels. At least 40% of total electricity generation to come from non-fossil renewable sources. Third, an increase in the forest cover to create an additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. The next question here is, which targets have been converted into official targets now? Dear viewers, at the Glasgow meeting last year, Modi ji promised to strengthen India's climate commitments. He made 5 promises and called it Panchamrit, the nectar that Indians prepare using 5 ingredients. 2 of these were upward revision of existing target, the ones that have been made official and put in updated NDC. Accordingly, India will now reduce its emission intensity by at least 45% instead of just 33 to 35% from 2005 levels by 2030. Also, it would now ensure that at least 50% of its total electricity generation, not just 40%, would come from renewable sources by 2030. Remember, the forestry target has not been touched. I'm sure you now want to know that which are those targets which are not considered as official targets for now. Prime Minister has said that at least 500 gigawatt of India's installed electricity generation capacity in 2030 would be based on non-fossil fuel sources. Also, he had promised that the country would ensure avoided emissions of at least 1 billion tons of carbon dioxide equivalent between now and 2030. So these two promises have not been converted into official targets. Also to be noted that Prime Minister has also announced that a net zero target for India for the year 2070. Net zero is a situation in which a country's greenhouse gas emissions are offset entirely, either by absorption of carbon dioxide through natural processes like photosynthesis in plants, or through physical removal of greenhouse gases using futuristic technologies. But this net zero is a long-term target and does not therefore qualifies to be included in the NDCs, which seeks 5 to 10-year climate targets from countries. Finally, now let's understand that what has been India's progress so far in achieving these targets. Just for your information, the two climate targets, those relating to the reduction in emissions intensity and proportion of non-fossil sources in electricity generation, do not come as a surprise. India is on the way to achieve its existing target well ahead of the 2030 timeline. India's emissions intensity was 24% lower than the 2005 levels in the year 2016 itself, the last year for which official numbers are available. It is very likely that the 33 to 35% reduction target has already been achieved or is very close to being achieved. A further reduction of 10 to 12% from here to meet the new target does not appear too challenging, even though these reductions get progressively tougher to achieve. The other target, having at least 40% of electricity coming from non-fossil fuels, has officially been reached. According to the latest data from the Power Ministry, 41.5% of India's current installed electricity capacity of 403 gigawatt is now powered by non-fossil fuels. Renewables, that is wind, solar and others, alone account for more than 28% of this capacity, while hydropower contributes over 11%. So you see, with most of the new capacity addition happening in the renewable energy sector, a 10% rise in the share of non-fossil fuel in electricity generation is not an unrealistic target. Let me give you a point to ponder. Why do you think that 2 out of these 5 Panchamrit targets have not been yet made official? So that's all in the issue at a glance. Subscribe to the Indian Express to get more such videos. Scan the QR code in the end of the video so that you can get more such initiatives of UPSC under Indian Express. Think smart, work hard, conquer your goal.